I'm using the 11 Pro Max over Samsung. Now, a couple quick mentions before you head to the comments. I'm going to admit it up front. Samsung, hands down with the S20 Ultra, is winning on the display, as is the S20 Plus, S20. They're winning on the display. They're winning on the specs. They got more camera specs than I've seen in any recent smartphone lately. And yes, the 120 hertz refresh, before you say, oh, it's got the better display. Yes, it does. I admit that up front. It's no contest also when it comes to the features. It's not even close. The Samsung phone is feature rich. It's got all of the features you would want and more. So much so, you'll have this phone for 6 months and you'll still be finding stuff you didn't know this phone could do. And none of my reasons are really going to pertain to the Captain Obvious reason that the iPhone 11 Pro Max gets better software update support. Like, duh. Of course, we already know that about this phone, but I will state that the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra continues to be fragmented in the release of its software updates. For example, this S20 Ultra right here did need an update when it comes to its camera software. And it took a while for it to come to this US unlocked version. Now, right now, you see I just checked for a software update. There's supposed to be an April patch. It's April 9th. I still don't have it here. It's still not appearing here on this Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. So that's what I'm talking about right there. So let me get on to my very first reason why I am choosing to use the iPhone 11 Pro Max over the S20 Ultra. And that is the cameras. I'm going to cut straight to the chase. Now, when you open up the camera here for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you don't have to tap the focus. You don't have to do nothing. Everything's in focus. Now, yeah, this phone cannot zoom nowhere near as far as the S20 series, but do you need that much zoom is the question I ask to you. Now, when we go to video, here's the best thing about the 11 Pro Max is the video performance. This is like having a camera, like a Sony camera in your pocket, but on a phone. It's extremely good focus. The phase detect on here is basically perfect. It never really misses focus. It's super reliable. This is like the only phone, the 11 Pro, that, or even the 10R and 10S Max. These phones, iPhones in general, usually have great video focus. You can use these phones as your main primary camera. Most people don't even notice. Not only that, you have the right application support to go ahead and make this useful. So if we go over here to my speed test page, you'll see iMovie. I can definitely edit videos like a dream on this phone. And yeah, we do have LumaFusion as well. It's a paid app if you want to get really pro. You don't find that much support on the S20 Ultra like you do when it comes to video apps. Now, yeah, we do have Cyberlink Power Director. Some of these apps are pretty decent, but they're not amazing. They're not as efficient. They're not as smooth to use as the one on the iPhone or the ones on the iPhone. Premiere Rush, I think probably the best option on Android. You can see it's not available for this S20 Ultra. $1,400 phone, and Premiere Rush is not available here. So yeah, that's kind of annoying here for this device. So yeah, if I want to do my video editing, it's not happening on the S20 Ultra. Next reason is the communication apps. During quarantine, stay at home right now, shelter in place, having the best communication apps on your phone is really good. Now, I'm not going to say it's not like you can't, communicate on the Samsung. You could do that with relative ease. But this mixture, you could see that fingerprint missing right now. You could see this mixture of the Google Duo with other video apps available. It's this mixture of using Google services with Duo, the messaging app here, then the phone dialer. It's just not as clean and consistent as the communication experience for the iPhone. And the third reason is this whole mixture of Google software along with Samsung software. Now, Samsung relies on the Google software because App Store, Play Store, it's the biggest thing that really matters on smartphones in terms of getting all the apps you want to use on these beast devices. But having all these Google apps and all these Samsung apps and then all these Microsoft apps now that they partnered with Microsoft, it's just a mess to me. This is just too much going on one smartphone. It's overwhelming, to be quite honest with you. And in the past, I've really loved using all these features, but I'm finding that it's just distracting me more often in 2020 right now. So I've really been enjoying this year the Google Pixel experience, very clean software, just Google apps, just Play Store apps. That's it. You don't have anything else. So this to me is actually closer to the iPhone experience than Samsung. The next reason I'm using this iPhone Pro Max over here over the Galaxy right now is I kind of like this back textured more. I find that the Samsung gets smudged up. It gets a lot more greasy on the back, a little bit easier because of that material. It's glass. Now, this is the same case for like iPhone XR and older glass phones, but this new etched material in the Pro series is really nice, and I hope Apple sticks with this for their future iPhones. Also, I find the stainless steel sides to be a little bit nicer than the sides on the Samsung. A Samsung is still very solid though. Both these phones are nice to hold. They both have good curve. The S20 Ultra is rather large, so for some people this is going to be too big, but just the S20 series in general feels pretty similar in the hand, very good, and both feel very sturdy as overall devices, very rock solid tools as smartphones. But I find the iPhone's back to just be a little bit nicer to use. It just doesn't get as dirty. And the next thing is I just enjoy using Face ID more than the in-display fingerprint sensor of the Samsung. Now, don't get me wrong, this actually improved over last year's in-display fingerprint sensor, but I don't find it to be quite as useful with other applications as Face ID. Face ID integrates so well with the system, whereas the fingerprint sensor does integrate well on the Samsung, but it just seems like more apps support Face ID than this in-display fingerprint sensor. The next one is key for me as I use a Macintosh computer is did you just say Macintosh, Nick? We don't need to hear the whole word. What is this, 1999? You could see right here, AirDrop, everyone. No, I'm not gonna AirDrop with everyone, but contacts only. AirDrop has been huge. I'm shooting a video. I gotta do some quick B-roll on the iPhone. I get the files to the Mac quick. It allows me to get content out to you guys faster and more efficiently. So I'm not messing around, pulling an SD card out of the Galaxy S20, sticking it in the computer, then finding that file, transferring. You see the difference there? So transferability of files really still stinks, I think, in comparison to the iPhone experience, especially if you're using a Mac. Now, I have to say the opposite is true if you're using a Windows PC. If you're using a Windows PC, then the Samsung is actually better to use than the iPhone. So if you're a Windows user, that doesn't apply. This reason I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro Max over Samsung is the consistencies of just the system overall. Using this and then using another iPhone, for example, using the iPad, using the Mac, it all works very well. Now, I also have other products in the Samsung ecosystem, the watch. I do have the Galaxy Watch as well as the Galaxy Tab S5e. They also are a very nice, coherent ecosystem that work very well together, but I just think that it doesn't work quite as well as the Apple experience. And that's mostly just down to how consistent everything looks on each platform, as well as the AirDrop feature, like I mentioned prior to this reason. So yeah, Samsung's getting really close though with their ecosystem, but still having Google services, and then you have a Samsung laptop with Samsung features, but it's still a Windows PC at its heart. That's still Microsoft. It's not as consistent. Everything Apple is everything Apple. It's all Apple. And that's why I'm saying the Google Pixel experience with like a Chromebook, for example, is really closer to that, all Google experience. You can have a Google Pixel book, you can have the Google Pixel, you could have a Google Slate tablet, and then you got the total, Google experience right there. They still need to launch a watch, but that hasn't happened just yet. And the last reason I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro Max over Samsung is the experience just gets out of the way better. So what do I mean by this? Well, I find it to be a less distracting phone once you have it set up. Now you can see I do have a lot of quarantine apps there on my food orders. If you guys want to see my what's on my quarantine phone video, let me know down below. I've been debating on whether I should do that one or not lately. If we go to settings here, you can see, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, the features are here. They're beating Apple all day. But I just find it takes me longer to find something in the Samsung. Yeah, they got universal search and stuff like that. Pretty easy if you just remember what to search. But like up here, for example, in the buttons, yeah, you can get rid of those, but there's a ton going on. It's kind of overwhelming at first. The control center just looks a little bit cleaner, in my opinion. So it saves time. And you could say, well, what do you mean? Like, you're just used to using the iPhone. I'm used to using my Samsung. I don't waste time on there. Well, but what do you mean? Well, if you think about it, no app drawer. So there's less to find in an app drawer. It's just one home screen. Now I know you can do this on the Samsung, go to home screen, make the apps, but at the same time, then you have to reorganize all the apps on the regular home screen. And then if you go back to this app drawer screen, then that's different as well. Up here, you got to organize all these button orders. It's just more stuff to do. It just takes more of your time. So in navigation bar settings, a lot of people say, well, it's not really that you are having too many features, it's that you have options. It's actually a pro. Well, think about when you go to the store and you want to buy something. Don't sometimes when you have too many options, it gets annoying. You're like, forget it. I don't even want to buy it. Like when you're presented with all these options of what to do, it gets frustrating. You got to pick one and then be done with it. But look it. Then you're using the navigation keys, and then maybe later you're like, you know what, I don't want to use these no more. And you could say it's a pro, I can go back to my gestures, but then you got to retrain your brain to remember, okay, gestures on the right or the left, are we using the Google Pixel gestures on here, or are we using the navigation bar? Is it coming from the side? Am I coming up from the side? Is the Samsung gestures going on? Time is a finite resource, and things that can save you time allows you to focus on things that really matter and what really are important to you. And the fact that the camera just works, no autofocus issues on this phone like on the S20 Ultra, the fact that there's only one way to navigate this phone, the fact that there's no real major customizations. Yeah, they might bring widgets, but they're not going to give you that much support like on the Android. It'll just be on the screen. The phone's just easier to use and it saves you time, I feel like. Now, if you're going to be on your phone all day on your iPhone, you're probably going to get bored. If you're a power user on your phone all day, you're not really doing nothing besides being on your phone, then you might like the Samsung more because it'll give you more fun things to do. Before we head up out of here, I do want to state the Galaxy S20 Ultra is still a super amazing smartphone. The 5G blows this phone, the iPhone 11 Pro to the Max, out of the water. But the thing is with this quarantine, I'm mostly on Wi-Fi right now, so I don't really need it too much. I still will put my SIM in there if I'm going to rely on 5G performance though. But I think the overall experience of the overall polish experience, the AirDrop feature, the communication tools, the iPhone just does a better job, I think, of getting out of the way, just working as a more polished experience day to day right now. I'm not sure Samsung phone will ever be exactly there as long as they're still mixing the Google experience with the Samsung experience, because you have two different type of systems you're kind of messing with. For example, you got to log into your Samsung account and your Google account. And as long as you have all these features, it's always going to be the more feature packed, the phone you just got to do more on. So that's why I'm using the 11 Pro Max right now over the S20 Ultra. My original plan was to go ahead and get this phone and just totally replace that phone and be like, you know what, this phone is just so much better. But I was really, and it was almost there, but that camera autofocus really let me down. So let me know your thoughts about this down below. Do you think that the iPhone experience is something you rather use over Samsung, and why? Or do you think Samsung is the better experience and you might want to use it over iPhone? Remember, the Samsung device is still amazing. And if you want to do a lot, you want to have fun on your phone, I still recommend it over the iPhone. But if you want the phone to get out of the way and just work and just be a polished experience, Apple's still winning out right now. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Stay home, stay safe, be sure to be well, and peace.